Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this meeting of the Derry School Board, my last meeting of the Derry School Board. I have loved serving with all of you, and I have loved being here, but tonight we have business to do. So we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So there are 5 of us here tonight. One of us was not able to make it, and Jonathan should be here later, but he is just running late. So we will begin with the minutes of the January 31st meeting.
Move to approve.
First by Jessica and a second by David. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The second set of minutes is the public meeting from February 14th.
Move to approve.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The third set of minutes is the non-public meeting from February 14th.
Move to approve.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. So before we go on with our 2 updates from our students, which we're happy to have them here, we do have one quick change to the agenda.
Chair, a motion to amend the agenda to add the moderator to between number 3 and number 4 on the agenda.
First by Derek and a second by Jessica. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. So with that, we will move on to our next agenda item. Nalia, we are excited to hear what is happening at Pinkerton.
And I'm excited to share. I'm sorry that this is your last meeting. I'm going to miss you. Moving on. I hope everybody had a wonderful vacation. I know I did. I didn't go anywhere warm, but I hope that you did. Anyways, the class of 2020... Did you go somewhere warm? My house was warm. Did you say my house? Yes, I stayed at my house too. Enjoyed the couple of extra inches of snow that we got. Anyways, the class of 2025 is hosting an ice skating night this Friday night at 7. It's going to be at the Hooksett Tri-Town Arena. Tickets will be sold at the door for $10. Also, Pinkerton Players is also holding a Battle of the Bands on March 10th at 7 at the Stockbridge Theater. Tickets are $10 and can be bought at the door or online at thestockbridgetheater.com. So if you're feeling a little bit spontaneous this Friday, you could be out all night and have fun. Only for $20, so have a good time. I'll be there. Pinkerton Academy is once again sponsoring a cover design contest for the 2023-2024 yearbook cover. The contest is open to all students, so all students are welcome to join, and the grand prize of $150 will be awarded to the winner. Cover designs must be submitted no later by April 7th. FBLA is headed to States March 23rd and 24th. All Pinkerton students are welcome, so we should have a super fun time. And students will be competing to head to Nationals, which is going to be in Florida this year. And last but not least, congratulations to Lilia Woods, a Pinkerton senior, for becoming the first NHIAA girl wrestling champion. So she's a close friend of mine, so congratulations to her, Lilia. If you're watching this, I don't think you are, but congratulations. And that's it.
So can I ask a question? So does Lilia compete against other girls or against boys?
Oh my God, she's so good that she competes against boys.
So I think that's the coolest thing ever, because my daughter does ninja against boys, and she loves that she competes against boys. So it's awesome that we have girls that are going up against boys and proving that they can do as much.
Exactly.
So hats off to Lilia.
Good job, Lilia.
Stella, it is your turn to tell us about what's happening at Next.
So far, over the course of February, Next has had some really fun things happening. From the 25th of January to the 11th of February, Next worked really hard to raise money and participate in the Penguin Plunge, raising over $7,000, breaking our goal of $4,500, which benefits the Special Olympics of New Hampshire. 13 of the students and 4 staff jumped into a very cold ocean to show our support. It earned us some bragging rights. We supported a community, and we most importantly had fun all together. And as of today, we're leaving Module 4 and entering Module 5, which is our second to last module, which is very exciting considering we're getting closer to the end of the year, which means graduation, prom, and the end of the year field trip. And as always, we always welcome new students with open arms. And over the course of this new school year, we've welcomed 15 to 20 students with, we try to make our community as welcoming as possible. And as a student who's only gone to Next for 2 years, I'm also in my third year of high school, and transferring was super scary, but Next has become a very nice place to me. They're all like my family. I'm not afraid to be myself around them, and we're not afraid to welcome everybody to be themselves around us. And the environment really helps students thrive and really express themselves, and we're focused on helping students get to that point.
So first off, I will say the community can't see this, but we as a board are staring at a sign that says kindness takes courage. And you guys at Next clearly are doing that by welcoming everyone in. And second, great job raising $7,000. That is a lot of fundraising. So I will now invite Lisa Holgren up to talk about next week's elections.
Hi, Lisa Hulkern, Derry Town Moderator. Thank you for having me. I'm sitting in tonight for Tina Guilford, who is the school moderator. She was unable to be here as she is at Town Hall this evening. So she's going to give my update, and I'm going to give hers. Are we not on? Oh, that could be me. User error. Sorry. Do you need me to start over, or can I just keep going? Keep going?
You can keep going.
As you all know, our town and school elections are coming up on March 14th. They will once again be held at the gymnasium at the Calvary Bible Church property at 145 Hampstead Road, and that will be Tuesday from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. So there's a lot of important things that are happening super quick because it'll be here before we know it. The supervisors of the checklist held their last open session on Saturday, and so our checklist closed, and we have registered in Derry 19,678 voters. So we are hoping for a good turnout at the election. If you missed your opportunity to register in advance, you can still register the day of the election. You will need to bring your IDs and proofs with you, and if you are unsure of what you need, you can either check the state or town website, or you can give a quick call to the town clerk's office, and they will let you know what you need to bring. Tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. at the Municipal Center, Tina will be testing the AccuVote machines. And so if you've never been part of that process or seen the voting machines tested, it's very cool to be able to not only see the process happen, but also it's an opportunity to take part in the process. So you can come, you can help test the machines, you can ask questions and learn a little bit more about how those work. And that will start at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Third floor meeting room, which is the same room that the town council meetings are held in. So that's tomorrow. We also have 2 forums coming up right here at West Running Brook. One will be next Wednesday, one will be Wednesday, tomorrow, and the other one will be Thursday. And those will both be at 6:30. The Wednesday forum is for school board candidates, because as you know, we are running 2 elections, one for school board and one for our town, and you guys have some important seats and some important questions on the ballot, so I do hope that that everybody comes out and takes part, has an opportunity to learn who the new candidates are and ask questions. And then on Thursday at the same time, also here at West Running Brook, will be the town candidates. And we do have some important seats open on the town level as well. So please take the opportunity to come and get to know who your candidates are going to be for the upcoming election. The last day to request an absentee ballot will be on Monday by 5 p.m., and that's Monday the 13th. Obviously, that's something you'd want to do in person, so you could fill out your ballot and hand it right back, so that if you are unable to make it for whatever reason to the election on Tuesday, you will still be able to cast your vote. And I think that is everything. Anybody have any questions?
Thank you very much for all those updates, and to all those watching, I hope you all come and vote and you all attend those forums so you can learn more about the potential candidates.
Thanks again for having me, and we're gonna miss you folks who are coming back. Thanks for all your service.
So our next agenda item tonight is the West Runningbrook Village Bike and Walking Path proposal, so I would invite Dr. Butterfield and his team up to the table.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Shane Gendron. I'm here with Melissa Rundy from Ed Herbert & Associates. We represent Dr. Butterfield in an application that's before the planning board for a mixed-use project that we're doing on a piece of property that directly abuts this school's property to the south here. It's Dr. Butterfield's farm, basically his homestead where he's lived for the past several years. The proposal that we have for the project in front of the planning board is a mixed-use project that mixes up basically commercial and residential component. We have 38 townhomes towards the rear of the property. We have a large centrally located building that's a garden-style apartment. It's going to be a 4-story building with some underground parking. To the front, we have a smaller building with about a 16,000 square foot pad. On the first floor would be some commercial shops, maybe a small restaurant, that sort of thing, and above some apartment-style, garden-style condo. And then we also have a restaurant pad of about 5,600 square feet. And then to the south, across Humphrey Road, we have another 22,000 square feet of commercial space, 2 buildings with parking, and it's basically arranged on the easel over there. We can bring it forward if you like. The proposal that we have this evening to talk about isn't really about the project so much as more about one of the things that we've talked about with the planning board is adding some connectivity between Donball Park, the school, and this project. So currently, you folks have a bike path that runs along South Main Street or in front of the school here. And then also you have a sidewalk that runs down to the intersection. Melissa's going to point out some of the things that we're talking about. But existing, you have a bike path that runs along the front of the school, and you have an existing section of sidewalk that basically runs down to the intersection where the traffic signal is, and then there's a crosswalk there that goes across to the Fairway Apartments. The proposal we have this evening is what we would like to do is extend the sidewalk portion down into our property, and then we've designated an area where there would be a crosswalk that would put pedestrians, students, whoever's going to be traveling between the two sites, basically in a pedestrian way where they could cross our parking lot and then be on the sidewalk so that it would be a safe situation. The other part of it is we'd like to extend the bike path along to the east around the school, kind of hugging the driveway. Now we know we have a pinch point back here in the back corner of the school where the driveway is. There's a little bit of ledge there. I think if anyone's driven around the school, you'll see there's about a 5-foot elevation of almost a sheer ledge cut there. We'd probably propose some sort of a mechanical removal of that ledge to be able to create about a 6-foot wide bike path that would take you to the back of the property, back of the school property that then could be connected into Donball Park. One of the reasons we think that's a good proposal for this project is it doesn't bring a lot of school kids down into a private site where there's a lot of traffic that's moving around with the commercial component of it. And I think, obviously it's really intended for the students, and I think you're going to have a lot of traffic from the school to the park. There may be a little bit of traffic from our project to the park, And we could discuss adding a connection maybe in the rear in the future, or just connecting through with the sidewalk and the bike path. But I think the main component is looking at it from what's the safest situation from the students to get from the school to the park. And this was our proposal, and that's why we're here before you this evening. If you have any questions, we're more than happy to answer them.
So just so, when I'm looking at this map, this end, kind of the end up to the upper right, that's as you're turning around the back of West Running Brook? Am I understanding this right? That's toward the back of the school on the right?
Yes.
Okay.
Where Melissa's pointing now?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the back of the
Okay.
school. That'd be the back of the property, basically. We have had a couple of meetings with the superintendent, and I think everybody thought it was a good idea to approach it this way. It really doesn't make sense to be bringing, school children through a private site. I don't think it benefits people that live in the project. I don't think it benefits the school-age kids. So this was the proposal, but we needed to bring it in front of you folks and get your opinion.
So here's the school right here, and here's your existing bike path, and they're just proposing taking the bike path and going around the back of the school and then up the top property and then hoping to run through over the park.
So looking on that, looks like a satellite type view map. The red kind of double line that squiggles out and then juts off to the east, I guess. That's the proposed new extension path there?
Correct.
Okay, so that stays, Jane, that stays away from, looks like the fields we have, it stays away from, I think, at one point we proposed moving the generator that's out there. It's gonna, that would stay away from any of that stuff we'd have to do on site. Okay.
Just in onto your existing driveway, basically, it stays away from all your existing
Okay.
driveway.
Yeah, it looks good.
So just so I can picture this, I don't have an issue with it, but just so would it be at the driveway level or at kind of the higher grass level? Because I know behind the school, there's a pretty high, kind of grassy area.
Yeah, so we would be looking at removing the ledge down to the driveway level.
Okay.
I think it'd be a safer situation than having the kids elevated up 3 or 4 feet above the driveway.
No, that makes sense. I
Yeah.
coach cross country, and I always tell the kids to stay off that steep part. Do any other board members have any questions? If not, this does require a motion from the board to approve, as they would be building this at their expense but on our land. Oh, okay, so before we do that, I would, if there are people in the audience tonight that had questions, you are welcome to come up. Thank you for reminding me, the one ground rule I remind you is your questions have to be about the bike path itself, not about the logistics of the project. That is not in our purview. It's really just the bike path on our land. But if people have questions about that, they are welcome to come up and ask them, since these folks aren't going to be here for the rest of the meeting. Does anyone from the public have any questions they want to ask?
No, that's fine. So here's the school, right here. Here's your existing path. And then here's the path over.
So, sir, before you ask questions, can you just come up to the microphone? You have to give your name and address for the record, and then you can ask your questions.
Jerry Saragusa, 49 South Main Street. Definitely agree with Tim and his team. It is unsafe. I mean, we see the kids walking down South Main Street a lot, and it's kind of scary. So definitely applaud them for trying to come up with some type of solution. So the bike path, it's not on, doesn't cross Tim and Sharon's property?
It does not.
Okay. But down below the walk, just try and,
The walk will come in the back corner of the property right up to the crosswalk.
okay, but then you said, I thought you said something about the kids, it could filter the kids down into the parking area on the property.
Well, that's what we don't want to do. We don't want to take the sidewalk over to here and then bring them down South Main Street and in that way.
Okay.
We'd rather give them a safe way to get onto the property.
Right, and I'm just to clarify, so in that spot, because when that project was presented before, I know Tim's attorney said that they don't recommend anybody coming through the property, public. So now you're saying that it's okay for kids or public to use that walk and cut through their property.
We feel that's the safest option for the kids.
So that would be the position moving forward, that it's okay for the public to use that as a trail to cut through the property.
That would be a public way to get onto the property.
So the public could walk through that property. Okay, good. And then the back corner, so will that cut the property?
Up here,
Yeah,
that's not part of the, it's not on the property at all.
but to get to Don Paul Park, that doesn't have to cut Tim and Sharon's property?
No.
All right. And then just, yeah, that was my main question. And again, I only ask because we're doing our projects too, and the town has different requirements to continue the sidewalk. So, I mean, it's all stuff that we have to take into consideration when we move forward. So I just didn't know how that would impact, the further build out of the project. But as the chair says, maybe that's an issue for the planning board at a later date.
Yeah, I mean, and for the school boards, as long as the school board is concerned, the only thing we were asked to approve was the sidewalk on our property and the bike
Okay.
path on our property.
Cool, good. But I agree with them. It's, every day you see the kids, and you hold your breath, so definitely. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else have a question for the board about Tim?
Hi, Tim Butterfield, 2 Humphrey Road. Just to be totally clear with Jerry's point, Jerry put this big umbrella statement out about it's okay to use the entire property. This sidewalk access to our sidewalks on the commercial is just that. They can get to the shops, they can get down to Humphrey Road. To say that, and I mean, just as total clarity, to say that they have access to the entire project and what the condo documents would actually allow and not allow, that's something totally different. So I just want to be absolutely clear on that. This is safety, getting teachers that want to come to a sub shop or go to a restaurant in that commercial space, that's what it's for, but it's not what the condo documents will actually say about that residential component. That's a whole different thing.
Thank you for the clarification. Is there anyone else from the public that has questions? Come on up and ask them, and they can answer you.
Hi, Lisa Helgren, 75 Warner Hill Road. So I'm assuming that if that sidewalk allows kids to get from the school over into the property, that also allows the people who are in that property to get over into the school. So I have a little bit of concern about people coming through the school property while the kids are there. Do you know what I mean? Like cutting through to get to the park or walking their dogs, or is that going to increase that? Traffic goes both ways, right?
So I can't answer that entirely, but what I can say is, to the extent that there's a sidewalk now and people if that encourages more people to come from the park to that property during the day, at least our doors are closed. So from a safety perspective, people could not walk into the school. I can't speak to how much. are there, do you wanna?
So we look at the connection between our property with the small sidewalk and the school property, no different than the crosswalk that goes to the fairways. There may be some teachers that live in this new project. We're looking at kind of a higher end, all 2-bedroom units. So they're not something that's going to attract a lot of school age kids, but you could get some young professionals that may actually work at the school. And we also feel that, you know, you have teachers that they have a period off or something, if they want to run over and grab a bite to eat or something, if there's a sub shop, we don't know what kind of business is going to be there at this point, but that connectivity is allowed. But as far as what people do on the school property, we're not taking a stance on that. That's the school, you know, that's up to the school and the school board.
I think too, I just want to speak and just as a parent, if there is a complex there with shops and restaurants, kids are going to want to go to it. And I think I can envision kids from the school wanting to be in that complex to shop or eat or whatever. And the alternative to putting a safe pathway there is to have kids walking down South Main Street and into our driveway with cars turning right and left. And for me, with 3 kids, that's a nightmare. So I would rather provide them with safe access onto our property to a crosswalk to get to a sidewalk than kind of leave them to their own devices to just kind of make their way down there.
Do any board members or any members of the public have any other questions at this point? Or would someone like alternatively to make a motion?
A motion to approve the bike and walking path proposal at West Running Brook Village.
A first by Derek and a second by Paul. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And John?
I'm just going to abstain because I know I'm late to this. I mean, what I've seen, I would probably feel pretty in line with you guys, but I'm just going to abstain for that reason.
Understood. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much for coming and explaining.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Butterfield. So, moving right along, we are on to the business administrator's update.
Okay, I'm going to break down the update by my 3 departments, and I'm going to first start with facilities, and these are items that Jeremy Lamoth put together to give you an update from the last time that we were here at the board meeting. Ernest P. Barca, we had Impact Fire Protection, who has sourced the pressure switch needed to get the fire pump back into automatic mode. A tentative schedule is to have that replaced on the 17th of March. We've also scheduled the water booster pump replacement that has been postponed until April vacation due to material issues. Gilbert H. Hood, they have recently repaired sprinkler leaks, replaced flooring in 2 classrooms, repaired tile in the main entrance, and common area carpets were cleaned over vacation. West Running Brook repaired cracked ceramic tile in the main entrance. They repaired the sprinkler piping on the dry system in the attic, and common area carpets were cleaned over vacation. East Derry, the failed microswitch for the kitchen hood caused multiple fire alarms to go to the fire department switch. It's been ordered and it's waiting on a schedule for replacement. Common area carpets were also cleaned over vacation. And Grinnell, we just want to update you on the water project over there, and I'm going to read his update on that. The contractor has installed approximately 250 feet of new main across Mount Pleasant Street. Their intent is to continue to install pipe along the Buckley Field slope section this week, as weather and conditions allow, towards the proposed hydrant in the corner of the parking lot. If things continue to run smoothly and the weather cooperates, the intent is to continue to the proposed hydrant. This should only take another 2 or 3 days. Beyond that, the plan would be to continue the extension with the equipment during April vacation. So those are the things that have taken place recently and during vacation. And we also, just a fun fact, the maintenance department has gone through 55 tons of salt this winter. Not nearly as much as the town, but we love keeping track of that. And as you know, the cost of salt went up quite a bit this year. And but you know, there have been many storms where it was extremely icy out there, And Jeremy and his crew have done an amazing job keeping our parking lots safe for all of our staff and students and visitors. So thank you to them for all the work that they've been doing. An update on the RFP that went out for engineering for the building envelope project that we were looking at for Derry Village, West Running Brook, and South Range. We did post the RFP, and we did that on February 14th. We also scheduled site visits for any potential bidder on February 23rd. The RFP is due on March 10th, which is this Friday, so any bidders would need to submit their bid by that date. Between March 13th and March 20th, we would be scheduling interviews and doing reference checks on any potential bidder, and we would be bringing all of the bids forward to the board at the March 28th board meeting. An update with finance, we have completed and submitted the single audits for 2021, and we're waiting to hear for 2022. And we are also still finishing up our 2022 general, federal, and food service audits. And we are also been doing a lot of professional development with the payroll software and financial software. As you know, we had that conversion, so we've been working on a lot of professional development on that again. So thank you again to Mary Webster for all her work on that, and Mary Ellen Tagliatella and Kathy Kennedy. Child nutrition is going to be my longest one tonight because we have a lot to inform you on. We have completed and submitted the State of New Hampshire Child Nutrition Program School Food Authority Agreement, which is for 3 of our programs: the National Lunch Program, School Breakfast Program, and the Special Milk Program. This is a document of all requirements, terms, and conditions to operate our child nutrition program. So we recently signed and completed that. We also this year had to complete a vendor meals contract between the Derry School District and Next Charter School. So although we've been serving students from Next Charter School since they have been within our district, the state is now requiring us to have a contract with them in order for us to be a vendor to serve those students. So nothing changes in the meal pattern or what we serve them, we just have to have a contract with them. The Child Nutrition Program had a 3-hour detailed technical review and advisory Zoom meeting with the state on February 22nd that both myself, Austin, and Christina Lubelzik participated in. The review was helpful in giving recommendations in some areas for our program, and we had a lot of questions and areas of the review that they gave great feedback on. And for many of the items, there were a lot. There was a big questionnaire that Christina had to fill out prior to the technical review that was very extensive and took a lot of time, and it detailed every component of our program, from financial management and portion control, everything that's in there. She had to go through, and there was most every question. Their feedback from the state was excellent or outstanding. So for all the things that Christina and her team were doing, those are the responses that we were getting from the state. So we were really proud of that, and they did a great job. So big thanks to Christina Lubelzik and her staff for the incredible job they do, and not only with their cash management, maintaining and documenting food, cooler and freezer temperature, maintaining food, cooler and freezer temperatures, documenting all of that multiple times a day, maintaining safe and clean kitchens, work areas, and completing and filing state documents timely, and providing great tasting, nutritious meals. Excellent job, and we were really proud to hear their feedback from the state. The Finance Department recently sent out letters to families on February 24th for any outstanding debt that was over $10. This is for the food service program. Since that time when we sent the letter out, we have collected more than $3,000 in unpaid food service debt. So unfortunately, our current amount is still approximately $26,000 in uncollected debt. And as a reminder, uncollected debt does not stay with the food service program at the end of the fiscal year. any uncollected debt with food service needs to be transferred as a debt for the general fund of the school district. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about what we're doing about that. As you know, board policy, we continue to feed kids, and for the last 2 years, there was no charge for food because of the USDA moratorium on free food for all children, breakfast and lunch. And of that, our staff sold a lot of meals, and we actually ended up with a significant surplus, which I will talk about. Did I put it at the bottom? That I will talk about. We actually have about a $900,000 fund balance in food service. And interesting though, and I want to just make it clear, we are not allowed to use any of that fund balance to pay for outstanding meal debt. That is against federal regulations. So I want to be clear because we did ask that question. We actually had to have a plan on how we're going to spend down because the standard is that your fund balance for food service can only be an average of 3 months worth of expenditures. So in order to do that, I worked with Austin and Christina on areas where we'd spend down some of that money, and they gave you a list of things you could do. For example, professional development. You could, if you needed to replace equipment, if you needed to, I'm trying to think some of the other things that were on there, but a lot of it was about replacing equipment, things like that. And we specifically asked, can you pay down your debt? And it's specifically noted in there that you can't. So I will post all of that so that everybody can see the background to that. So unfortunately, while we do have that large balance, it's up to our department to collect those funds. And I know that we've had a strong, based on the school board policy, we are not turning children away. And to give parents and people an idea, you cannot have a register in the beginning of the line. Your register has to be at the end because the federal government wants to ensure that what is on that plate and what they will be reimbursing you for are the full components of a reimbursable meal. So you cannot collect your money till the end or charge anything at the beginning. So we struggle with children if they're going to come into line. Do they have money? Don't have money? And you don't know at the end of the line, and we're not pulling trays away from children. So the schools do send out notices to parents, especially at the elementary level. It's either weekly or every other week, depending on what the school calendar is and what the timing of the week might be. The middle schools have also sent them out. Patty Doyle, who is our accounts receivable, she has been making phone calls. The My School Bucks software, I cannot recommend that enough. There is a charge if you want to put money on the My School Bucks, but you do not have to pay anything just to sign up to be on My School Bucks. And the benefit of signing up to My School Bucks is you would still be able to see the balance of your account. And you don't have to put money on it through there. You can certainly send in a check or cash. But My School Bucks will then send email reminders. We continue to encourage families to fill out the free and reduced applications and cannot stress enough how important it is to apply. Not only is it important for federal funds that we receive based on free and reduced, but also so that families who are in need are getting the financial benefit of either being on free or reduced. Those applications are confidential. There are 2 people in the district who have access to even look at them. And that's myself, because I am the approver, and Christina Lebelzik, and she is the initial person who checks to make sure all the information is there, and she determines whether a family qualifies, and then I verify that they qualify based on their income and based on what the federal guidelines are. So what I would like to say is the week before the letters went out, we had several applications come in. So I just want to give you an idea. Think about the balance that we just talked about was over $25,000. During the week before vacation, we received an application, and that student qualified for free, and they have an outstanding balance of $178. We had another child qualified for free who had an outstanding balance of $52.10. We had another student who qualifies for free who had an outstanding balance of $124.70. We had another student who qualified for reduced meals. They had a balance of $17.70. We had one child who applied and was denied. They did not have an outstanding balance. And then we had a family with multiple students in that family that was also denied. They did not meet the income criteria, but that family with the multiple students has a combined $686.10 in outstanding food service debt. Now, the reason why I tell you that is because it's interesting that the families who are, some of them have this debt, they qualify for free. So I'm hearing from a lot of people, they just don't want to apply. And we really need to encourage people to do that because they are still responsible for that debt and any debt that they incur. And if you're qualifying for free, you really can't afford that debt that you're accumulating. So we really encourage people to do that. We sent the letters out on February 24th. Since the letters went out, we also received another 10 applications. Of those 10, I haven't seen them yet, so I only know what Christina is verifying them at. Of the 10 applications that came in since the letters went out, 2 families qualify for free, 5 families qualify for reduced, and 3 families were denied. So you're still seeing another 7 that qualified for one or the other. We have had families call and say that they did not give authorization for their children to eat, therefore they shouldn't have to pay. What we are telling families that if they do not want their children to eat, if they send us an email, then we will put a block on their account, and it's up for them to tell their children that they cannot purchase meals from the lunch line. We do not want to put that on our staff. It's very difficult. No one wants to turn away a child and we certainly aren't taking a tray away. So, but I also wanted to break down some numbers for you. There are 147 students that owe between $1 and $10. There are 91 students that owe between $11 and $25. There are 50 students that owe between $26 and $50. There are 57 students that owe between $51 and $100. There are 65 students that owe between $101 and $200. There are 34 students that owe between $201 and $300. There are 8 students that owe between $301 and $400. There are 2 students that owe between $401 and $500, and there are 2 students that owe $501 and above. We are actively billing, calling, and based on school board policy, our next step, because we are not going to not feed children, our next step is really the outstanding debt. When I say children, I mean parents and guardians. The next step really is continuing to work with parents, and at some point, based on board policy, outstanding debt will go to collections. So,
Jane, can I ask a quick question?
yes.
You mentioned earlier that we're not allowed to carry that balance we have, we can only carry so much of it, if I understood it right. That you was limited on what you could spend it on, but also that you could only carry a certain percentage. What is our plan to spend it down? Do we have enough things to spend it down on?
Yes, hold on one second. I actually did, do I have that with? My bag's over there. Yes, let me try to pull it up on here. We did come up with a plan for what we would spend it on. Let me see. Hold on one second. Okay. So things that we would look at, Christina, we had been running a list of equipment that's needed to be repaired. I think we put it together several years ago. We would be replacing equipment. There are 3 warmer cabinets that need to be replaced. There are district cafeteria tables that need to be replaced, and those are fairly expensive. Each one of those can range $1,500 to $1,800. And many of those need to be replaced. The walk-in freezer floor here at West Running Brook, that needs to be replaced. And so there's a lot of little things that kind of add up to it. We would be replacing our commissary truck, which we have some of that delivers food and mail and all kinds of supplies. That truck is very that much on its last wheel. So we would be replacing that, but there are a lot of things. It's mostly, the majority of that is equipment, and also potentially increasing some of the staff hourly wages. As you know, their wages are significantly lower than other departments.
That led me to my second question. So we could spend it on wages.
Absolutely.
So my question is this. I'm thinking through some math in my head. If we are gaining people that are getting in the lunch line and don't have money on their card, but we can't stop them once food's at the end, and I don't want to deny children food, do we have enough money of running a test where we hire some extra people to check cards at the beginning so we're not gathering more debt?
So so you could pay somebody, but remember, once we do this, prior to COVID, our food service balance was somewhere in the $20,000 range. We were running real close. And if only for the fact that our food service department really kicked it up into high gear. I've given reports of how many meals they served because it was free, so they were getting so many kids to participate in breakfast and lunch. Once we get back down to those levels of 3 months of expenditures, I think we're going to be right back in the same place, but we got to keep our program up. But yes, certainly we should definitely increase the wages. I talked to Christina today. The only way to check those cards is to have another, that you can sort of see it in the back, the POS system that's back there. You would have to purchase another one to put it at the beginning of the line in order for them to look up card balances. But yes, you absolutely can do that. I asked her if you could have one of those handheld scanner or something, but she would need to have it on the POS system. But we could do that. So in short, on food service, I definitely wanted to keep you aware of where we stand on that and not let you think that we've not been working on trying to collect funds, but we are struggling to get parents to pay, and it's going to take a lot of work on our end, and we will continue to push out applying for those free and reduced.
Can I make a suggestion I will not be here, but for next year in the budget? We always struggle with getting people to apply for free and reduced. And I know that this program is self-funded, but I would highly suggest that the board put in a line item where we encourage people to apply for free and reduced. And if you are denied free and reduced, we will put 180 days worth of lunches on your child's card, and that person gets it. Because when I hear things like these parents are in debt and they apply for free and reduced, but they were denied, there is a component of our students who their families need help. We're not getting help from the state or federal when that program went away. And if it were up to me, I'd feed all the kids. And I think this is a way to catch some of those and increase our applications for free and reduced. And I also agree with taking that big bank and increasing the wages of our workers who are severely underpaid.
Thank you. So you bring up a good point. When I look at the applications, there's a lot of people who are on the cusp, right? And there are other people who fill them out because they think that everybody should be filling them out. So they fill them out, and when I look at the salary, they in no way would ever qualify. But we're happy that they filled it out. And also, we get a lot of generous donations from people who donate and say, please put this towards a needy child or needy family. We have families in the district where they've had fires at their home, a parent has passed away, parents have lost their job due to a serious illness, things like that. And so Christina is very careful. She works with our 2 home-to-school coordinators. She works with principals. And when there is a student in need or a family in need, she will take the generous donations and put it towards their account. So if a family perhaps had a parent pass away, she may use the donation for a family in need to pay them their food for a year, things like that.
So I completely agree with raising salaries, and I want to make sure kids are being fed. Would we be allowed to use this surplus funding to do what Jessica was suggesting to help, or is that also not allowed?
You can't feed children with the surplus.
That's why I was talking about putting a line item in the budget.
So we bill Medicaid for different various services. Is that an option to review that data? Can we review that database and cross-reference people that may not be on free and reduced, but are receiving Medicaid benefits, and maybe send the letters directly to some people in that regard?
As long as it's only Christina and I that are doing that. Yeah.
I think there's actually a bill right now in the State House that they're looking at doing, I can't remember the term they call it, but it's like direct certification or something like that. So if the family's in the Medicare system, they would automatically qualify for free and reduced, but there's some privacy issues they're trying to work out. So that'd be something else to speak with the legislators on in the future. But it seems like a pretty good bill. It isn't going to increase funding or anything, but again, if you can increase the amount of people that are enrolling, or you automatically increase those that are enrolled, then it kind of takes some money off the back end. So.
On the what Jessica just suggested, and we clarified that as far as can we use the excess money to do that? And you said no, but if we used the money for things that were allowable, that were already in our budget, and we added that line item, that would be an offset, though, right? We could do that. In other words, if we use the money for things that that were acceptable, and instead of funding them with the budget that we have, we funded them with the money that was available to us, that would offset the money that we appropriate to do the thing that Jessica suggested. How's that? I don't know.
I do see what you're saying. I think it's probably a little bit of supplanting, but we really don't, in food service, we really have no budget for equipment replacement except a very small amount of money. We do the limp along process where we call in Jeremy and he tries to fix the equipment. She has somebody come in and try to repair it. Maintenance does the best that they can, but when she needs new equipment, there are grants available. We will typically try to apply for a grant because she has very little in her budget to be spent on much. Yeah.
I'm just trying to play the show.
I know,
here.
I know. I do that as much as I can, but.
Does anyone have any other questions for Jane? Yeah, but you need to come up to the table and state your name.
Hi, my name's Debbie McGee, and I live at 12 Montgomery Farm Road. And I just had this idea about the kids that come without money. And I don't know if this is something you can do, probably not. I remember this well. I used to send my son with a bologna sandwich, and it was only after months, I found out. I went in, and in his locker, I kid you not, there were piles of bologna sandwiches, and they were green. It was unbelievable. But my idea was that with some of this surplus money, is it possible to buy food from a co-op or some healthy eating program or something where people that fall between the cracks, like they don't qualify, but that they could pick food up and make it at home? Instead of pre-bagged chips, you put them in a baggie. You get a big bag and you put them in a baggie. And, instead of buying carrots already cut up in the grocery store, you get a bag of carrots and you cut them up. Is that maybe an option?
That's a great idea. We can't purchase any food out of the surplus that is not reimbursable to us. So unfortunately, we can't do that.
I wish there was some way of getting around that, because you can have it be cheaper by putting the labor in.
Right. And we do have 68 hours of hunger. So there is a nonprofit that actually we get boxes of food for a lot of our students that they take home to prepare meals at home for, which is really good. But it's funny that your son had all those bologna sandwiches, because we've been hearing from families, but I pack them a lunch every day. And And so they're either not eating their lunch, and then they go through the lunch line because they want a chicken patty. So there's a lot of kids that aren't unlike your child.
Yeah, I
A lot
think
of bologna sandwiches in
they
the
want
locker,
what
probably.
you have more, or I think sometimes there's an embarrassment factor that, you know, if you bring your lunch, you must be poor, right? Which is often the case. Does Mrs. Pat still work here? Anyway, she used to feel bad for Roman, and she used to buy hot dogs and keep them. He was special needs, and keep the hot dogs in her refrigerator. Because what's the difference between a hot dog and bologna? I don't know. Okay, thank you.
And just so parents know, when a child goes through the lunch line, their lunch card does not look like anything different if they're on free or reduced. A card is a card, and the only difference is when it rings up. So nobody knows what they're on.
Well, Jane, I thank you for that very thorough update, and I would just say to you, ma'am, that I hope at least when your son wasn't eating his lunch, he was eating the lunch he bought, because I went to my daughter's school one day when she was in first grade, and she wasn't eating the lunch we packed. She also bought herself a lunch, which she also didn't eat. So it is a problem with many, many tentacles, so we will keep digging at it.
Erica, I'd like to just jump in since 68 Hours of Hunger got mentioned. I belong to the Derry Village Rotary, and they run the collections for 68 Hours of Hunger. And starting on St. Patrick's Day, Friday the 17th, through March 28th, we are collecting food. We're trying to get as many of our schools involved. There's collection sites at the Derry Public Library, the Derry Municipal Center, the Hometown Roots at 16 Manning Street, KSB Hair Studio, 6A Street, Planet Fitness in Londonderry, Edward Jones at 418 Island Pond Road, as well as I will say that parents can bring food items for 68 Hours of Hunger to the schools as well, and we'd be glad to store those and get those picked up by the Derry Village Rotary. Thank you, everyone.
So our next agenda item tonight is personnel.
Sorry, I had a question for Jane. Going back to the RFPs, how many do we have submitted already?
Do you mean for that particular project?
Yeah.
We don't have any because they're not due till Friday.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Perfect. And how many people came to do site visits?
One.
Does anyone else have any questions for Jane? In that case, Austin, personnel.
Yeah, now I gotta talk again. Thank you. We have one resignation. Caitlin Pelkey has decided to stay home with her children, which no one can fault. She does say she's grateful to have had the opportunity to serve the students and families of Derry for 11 years and to have done so alongside wonderful colleagues, and she wishes all the best in years to come and says maybe someday the road will lead her back to Derry, but right now the road is leading her to staying home and taking care of her children. So I'd like to put that resignation forward.
Motion to accept the resignation?
Motion by John and a second by Jessica. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much, Caitlin, for your service, and we hope maybe we'll see you back at a later time.
Yep.
Our next item is policies.
Okay, so we have everything here for second reading. I can go through as I did last time and mention each one and the little bits of changes. There hasn't really been a great deal of changes with a lot of these. Or you can vote on them one at a time. What is your preference?
I think we should maybe separate them out and vote on the two to withdraw separate from the second readings. Does that make sense? So we'll start with JIBB, Student Liaison to the School Board, and EBCE, School Closings, to withdraw because, am I correct, they're included in other new updated policies?
That is correct, yep.
Second.
First by Derek and a second by John. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? motion carries. So now that leaves
The seven.
the seven for a second reading. Does anyone have any questions on any of these seven or would like another overview? If not, I would welcome a motion to approve.
So moved? Or motion to approve, do I need to go through each one? Okay, motion to approve, correct me if I'm wrong, BBBF, EBB, D, okay, EBCD, EHAB, IHBAA, JLCB, JLCF.
First by John and a second by Jessica, and I won't ask you to say that 3 times fast. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, everyone, for those of us that are on the older side and love slapstick. It reminds me of B.A. Bay, B.A. Anyways, excuse me.
A quick thing on policy. I know the policy committee is looking back at the public comment period. I think it's BEDH. There is a bill that was just voted out of committee that would potentially change that again. So my recommendation would be to hold that change in policy until that bill language is finalized. It could potentially create a situation where you'd have to move your public comment period to the beginning of the meeting because of how it's worded, giving public comment required before board action is taken. So you'd have to most likely move that in the beginning. It could be totally altered at that point, and it does include speaking to non-agenda items, which isn't awful as long as it doesn't get into like aliens are coming down to the neighborhood or something, but most likely you'll hear that anyway. So, but yeah, I would see the end of the committee is looking at that. It's been requested from some public members, so I would just wait until that language gets solidified in the State House before you do anything and have to double your efforts.
That is not a surprise. It was an expectation of mine that that this would be tightened up, for lack of a better way to put it, because there was, the way we have interpreted it through the policy committee and brought it forward back, I think it was the fall of '21, was agenda items and so forth. But my expectation, that's not a surprise. But I agree. I was saying, well, let's wait until it does get changed, and then of course we'll follow the law at that point.
Does anyone else have anything about policy tonight? If not, we will move on to the superintendent's update.
Okay, this first item got tabled at the last meeting, and the fact that we are going to have 3 new members on the board, I just want to bring it up for the board to discuss quick, and one of our members who is returning isn't here tonight. But at the January Pinkerton Academy Sending Town meeting, there was a request for 1 member from each sending town to join a committee being formed to look at the school start times. We were told the committee would meet 1 evening per month during the school week. So I got a update recently. They are looking for a name by Friday, March 17th. I did talk to Tim Powers and let him know of the predicament that I have 1 more meeting with this school board, and then not until the 28th we will have a full school board. I didn't know if this board wanted to see if there was someone that would be willing, if there was a meeting prior to the new school board coming on board. Okay, I'll go to that. Okay, then if it's okay, then I can, he said he was available.
No, I think that's great, John, because I think it's important that we have a presence at that first meeting, and if the newly conformed board wants to send someone else after that, you could certainly pass on what you learned.
And I do not have a confirmed, March 17th is when they're looking for an answer, but I don't have a confirmed date of when the first meeting is going to be. So it could be the beginning of April or something, but at least I will give them your name for now, with the understanding that depending on what happens on the 28th, someone else may step up, or if you want to still fight for it and want to do it, then they'll probably say fine. Thank you. Another thing I had a table, a blessing box is now in place at the Mariam Garish Community Center at 39 West Broadway. This box is filled with non-perishable food items and personal care materials. People are invited to take something or donate something in an effort to continue to spread goodwill in Derry. The blessing box was created and spearheaded by the efforts of two Derry Cooperative School District educators, the Derry Early Education or DEEP coordinator Janine Metro and DEEP occupational therapist Lindsay Young. A friend of these two educators volunteered to build the box. Janine and Lindsay have helped to replenish, and I guess Lindsay's pretty good with the online and social media, and puts things up on social media, and in no time the box is jam-packed once again. When you go by the Mariam Garish and you look there, it's right where the driveway meets the grass, right in the middle. And they thought that the Mariam Garish Community Center was the perfect location as it serves as a community hub and has a visible and easy to find location. And I just want to thank Janine Metro and Lindsay Young, not only for what they do for our youngest students and their families, but for their generosity to the community of Derry. Okay, now I would like to take a moment to thank retiring school board members Erica Cohen, Derek Anderson, and Jessica Ring for their many years of dedicated service to the community of Derry, our families, our staff members, and most of all, our students. Jessica, where are you? There you are. Jessica Ring is completing her 3-year term on the school board with the last 2 years in the role of secretary. She has a passion for doing what she believes is right for students, while also being responsible fiscally to the taxpayer. Jessica, thank you for your service these past 3 years. Jessica Ring. Derek Anderson has had a split career on the school board, serving his first term from 2016 to 2019, and then returning to the school board 1 year later. During this past 3 years, he was chair in 2021, followed by vice chair in 21-22. He is a great thinker who understands complex school board topics and has the ability to explain things in a way that everyone can then also understand. Thank you, Derek, for your 2 terms of service to the staff, students, families, and the community of Derry. Derek Anderson. Erica Cohen served for the past 7 years and often was in a leadership role. She was secretary 2018 to 2019, vice chair in 2019-2020, secretary once again for the 2021 year, and for the last 2 years, Erica has been our chair. She's been a cheerleader as well. She has heroically brought us through the COVID-19 pandemic and continue to lead us as we emerged on the other side of a most difficult time in education that any of us have had to endure. Thank you, Erica, for your leadership and caring, and I hope you enjoy your time out of the limelight. Erica Cohen. And I know there's not a lot of people here, but I feel a need to thank all 3 of them again by getting out of my seat and thanking them for what they do. And I want to thank all of the people who have stepped up and put in an application for school board. It's an honor to work with the people on the school board. It is something that you can tell that everybody that's on this school board cares for trying to do what's best it can be difficult at times when the thoughts of what they think is best might not always please everybody. But people need to understand that their hearts are in the right place and they care about not only doing what's right for our kids and our families and our staff members, but also for the taxpayers of Derry. So I look forward to meeting and working with whomever gets voted in next Tuesday, and as well as those of you who are staying on with us. And for you three, don't be strangers. Say hello from time to time. And Erica, when you see me screwing up, make sure you give me a phone call and remind me, all right? Thank you.
So, thank you very much, Austin. Our next agenda item tonight is just an FYI. It's the Pinkerton 5-year enrollment projection. So for those of you that don't have that in front of you, Pinkerton is estimating they will have, and these are totals, not just Derry students, all for 9th to 12th graders from all schools, 2,898 students next year, starting next fall. The following year, 2,768, then 2,757, 2,848, and 2,879. So it looks like they're projecting going up and down, but staying right around 2,200. For the benefit of the public, they have told us in the past that their sweet spot is more like 3,200, that they are in a low period. So that is why they tell us that is why we do see some hikes in tuition, because they are not at that spot they'd ideally like to be. But this is online if people would like to see it. Our next agenda item after that is committees. David?
All right, so we have to make an amendment from our previous meeting on our manifest from January 24th that we announced on February 14th. So we're gonna revoke manifest in the amount of $2,128,572.35. Of that, general payroll $1,215,412.39, and general expenses of $913,159.96.
David, why don't you separate the revoke and the vote?
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, gotcha. All right. Gotcha.
Second.
So there's a first from David and a second from Derek on revoking. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, I move to approve the amended manifest from, looks like 126 date from our last meeting, February 14th, in the amount of $2,130,824.60. Of that, general payroll is $1,217,664.64, and general expenses of $913,159.96.
Second.
A first by David and a second by John. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Are there any other committee reports? Oh, you have one more. Okay.
All right, I move to approve the current manifest in the amount of $11,499,175.03. Of that, general payroll of $3,901,092.09, and general expenses of $7,598,082.94.
A first by David and a second by Derek. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Are there any other committee reports? If there are not, we will move on to delegations and individuals. People are welcome to come up and speak for 3 minutes. Please just remember to give your name and address and speak to an agenda item. Thank you very much. Come on up.
Craig Cunningham, 41 Hunter Drive. So I just wanted to take a moment tonight. I think that for the last several years, this board has had the arduous task of dealing with a lot of misinformation, a lot of people making misstatements. Some cases it was done for to further their own political careers. Others, it's just residents that don't have all the facts and their hearts are in the right place, but maybe their comments weren't so helpful. But throughout it, I've seen a board that has acted professionally, has always kept the best interests of the students at heart, and done a great job. And last fall, as many of you know I ran for state rep. I talked to over 1,000 people in my attempt. I should maybe talk to a little bit more, but that's water over the dam. Over and over, people talked about how they were proud of the schools that we have in Derry. They appreciate the work that our teachers do. They appreciate the work that the school board does. And one of the common themes was that they wished that the state was a little bit more supportive of the schools. But you guys have done just a fabulous job. And Derek, Erica, Jessica, you'll be missed. Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else from the public that has either comments and/or questions? Lisa?
Lisa Holgren, 75 Warner Hill Road. I want to talk a little bit about the school lunches. I can tell you I sit in this cafeteria every day, and I see the kids go through the line, and I see a lot of kids that don't go through the line. In middle school, kids know what's going on at home, and so a lot of kids don't get in the line. And we encourage them, no, go get lunch, go get lunch, go get lunch. Listen, for the public, I would just like to implore you, please stop paying for my coffee when I go through Dunkin' Donuts. I go through Dunkin' Donuts because I can afford to buy myself a cup of coffee. Please take your check and send it into the school and donate it for the kids because they need to have lunch, and they need to have breakfast, and they need to have fruit, and they need to have all of these things. And the ladies who work in the lunchroom, they know which kids need the help. They know where to put that money. So please put it where it will do the most good and give back to our communities locally. And that is the best way that you can help. And also, guys, I'm going to miss you. Derek, thank you so much for always letting us know what bills are coming up and to pay attention. And I appreciate all of your paying attention for us when we're not paying attention. Erica, the last few years of uncertainty and COVID and people just downright being crazy, we appreciate you coming back again and again and again. And Jessica, also, I mean, your first go round, and it's been rough, all of you, and you're always here, and you're always fighting for the kids, and you're always trying to do what's right, and we're gonna miss all of you. Thank you so much for all you've done.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the shout out for the kids. We definitely want, if people are looking for a donation for some reason, we have a lot of kids that may have racked up bills, not because they're trying to do anything devious, but because they're just really hungry and their parents can't afford it, and we don't want that. We want kids eating. So would anyone else from the public like to speak? If not, we will close delegations and individuals and move into other business. I have one item. Does anyone else have other business? David? Oh, there's a line.
I just wanted to reiterate the point that everyone's made tonight. You know, personally, my wife and myself, we moved in 2018, and we appreciate everything you guys have given to this board, and you know, we stay involved. And my wife, I know if she was here tonight, she would say the same thing. So thank you. You know, from a board member's perspective, I'm gonna miss you guys. I've learned a lot from you guys. I appreciate all you've done for this town, and thank you.
Well, I have to say that it's been a long time since I've been nervous to come to a school board meeting, since I was chair probably. We've had some amazingly short meetings, coming to just to handle a little bit of business, and we've had some pretty long ones. We've had one up till a few weeks ago that was pretty late, but I think I still hold the record of going into the next day, the summer of 2020 as chair. So, but I wouldn't change anything that I've done. I'm proud of everything I've done. I've fought for the kids, I think. I've stood alongside of all of the board members that we've worked with over the past 6 years. I've learned a lot. I would say Brenda, who's not here tonight, before I got on the school board, talked to me about it, and Dan McKenna, both of those people who are amazing, and I hope Brenda continues to do what she does for this board. We haven't always seen eye to eye, but I think we've always been very respectful of each other's opinions and where we're coming from. And I would certainly encourage her to continue, as well as the remaining members here, David and Jonathan, Paul. Hopefully, you folks continue to stay. And the administration has been absolutely amazing to work with. You know, I'm always one that fires off a whole bunch of emails to Jane and her staff, and the superintendent, the assistant superintendent, and gosh, within a week I get something back. It's pretty amazing. I'm not going to get used to that very easily, not having that skill set behind me. So thank you all. Thank you to the teachers who have worked tirelessly during the past few years, have prepped our kids, I think, well to move forward. And I think just everybody who's associated with this district, everybody works extremely hard. We have a big budget, but overall, it's very well spent. And I think, hopefully, moving forward, the state will help districts out with that a little bit more, if not what we deserve, but at least a little bit. And I'll be around. I'll be watching, and I'll be taking a particular interest in the next year or two with facilities and curriculum and what's going to develop out of what we voted on recently. And I'll try to be involved if I can. So thank you all. I really appreciate the time I've had the past 6 years and just learning a ton and giving my time. So thank you.
So you've all heard a bunch from me, so I'll keep it short. But while this is my last meeting on the school board, I'm proud to say my last official job as a member of the school board is next week, visiting Barca and Grinnell as a guest reader. My favorite thing I do every year as a member of the school board, because that's why we're here. We're here for the kids, because the kids come here and teach us how to play chess and teach us math games and read us poems and essays about kindness. They tell us about their experience in education. And that's why we're here, because those kids that come up and bravely stand at that microphone, really scared, either quiet or loud or cracking jokes or just not able to say anything at all, we're here to build them a foundation so their future is better. That is why every single one of us is here. That is why I'm here, and that is why I will continue to serve kids, but not in this role. Beginning at the beginning of April, I'm going to be joining the board of directors of End 68 Hours of Hunger, which serves this district, because I still care about kids, but it was my time to do it in a different way. That is my first initial announcement of that. So with that, I will just say thank you. It's been a great 7 years. I've enjoyed serving with all of you. I've learned a lot. You're all very dedicated, very bright, and I've really enjoyed our conversations, and I wish my kids are still in this district. They've gotten a great education, and I wish only the best for this district. So if there's nothing else, I would take a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.